hidden treasures, forgotten histories, and surprising facts that could make you a lot of money. Today's video is one you absolutely do not want to miss, because we're diving deep into a coin that many people overlook, yet it could be hiding in your pocket, your piggy bank, or that old coffee jar sitting on a shelf. That we're talking about the 970 United 1 coin, better known. But some of these coins are not just worth 1 cent. They're worth hundreds, thousands, and in some cases, even tens of thousands of dollars. That's a tiny copper coin you thought was pocket change could mind. So grab a drink, sit back, and stay with us as we explore the history, mystery, and massive market value of the 1970 penny. Trust me, you're going to want to check your change drawer after this video. Let's begin with the origin story of the 1970 penny. The Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 60 years by this point. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was the first U.S. coin to feature real person. By 1970, the Lincoln penny was still going strong. It featured the same classic bust of Lincoln on the front, also called the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, introduced in 1959. This design replaced the earlier wheat ears on the back and marked the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Now here's where it gets interesting. In 1970, these coins were made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc, just before the massive metal composition change in 1982. That means each penny minted in 1970 actually contains more copper value than newer pennies today. But what makes the 1970 penny special isn't just its material. It's the rare varieties and errors that happen that year. Let's talk about the 1970s small date Lincoln penny, one of the most talked about and valuable small coins in U.S. numismatic history. Minted in San Francisco, these coins have tiny differences that only sharp-eyed collectors and experts can spot, but they can mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth thousands of dollars. Here's what to look for. On the small date version, the number 7 in 1970 appears level with the other digits. The top of the 7 is in line with the 1 and 9. On the large date version, the 7 is taller and rises above the other numbers. Collectors are obsessed with the 1970s small date because of its low mintage and because it's incredibly hard to find in perfect condition. A mint state example with no scratches, brilliant luster, and strong strike can sell for anywhere between $1,500 to over $4,000, sometimes even more depending on the coin's grade and demand at the time. And here's where it gets even crazier. Some 1970s pennies have a double die reverse. This means the back of the coin, specifically the Lincoln Memorial and inscriptions like United States of America and 1 cent, appear slightly doubled under magnification. These errors are rare, valuable, and hotly pursued in the collector's market. A 1970s small date double die reverse in great condition could fetch over $5,000 or more. But San Francisco wasn't the only mint striking pennies in 1970. You'll also find coins from Philadelphia, which has no mint mark, and Denver, marked with a small d, under the date. Here's the thing. Most 1970D and 1970, no mint mark, pennies are common, but a few slip through the cracks with errors that are now incredibly collectible. Some examples include off-center strikes, where the coin is misaligned during minting. The more off-center, the more valuable it is. If you find a 1970 penny that looks lopsided or partially blank, it could be worth $50 to several $100s, depending on how dramatic the error is. Clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin is literally missing due to a malfunction in the cutting machine. These can sell for $100 to $500 or more. Die cracks and cuts, imperfections that show up as raised lines or blobs on the coin. These are sought after by error collectors and can go for $30 to $300, depending on visibility and location. And then there's the holy grail of errors, a 1970 penny struck on a silver dime planchet. That's right. These ultra-rare mistakes were struck on the wrong metal and size. If you find one of these, it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. So how do you know if your 1970 penny is valuable? Here's a checklist you should follow. Mint mark. Look under the date. An S means it was made in San Francisco. This is where the most valuable varieties come from. Date size. Use a magnifying glass and compare your coin with online images of the 1970s small date versus large date. This detail is critical. Condition. Coins with no scratches, dents, or discoloration are always more desirable. The best condition coins are graded by services like PCGS or NGC, and rated on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. Anything graded above MS65, mint state, can sell for serious money. Errors. Check the reverse side for doubling, and examine both sides for cracks, missing parts, or unusual textures. And most importantly, do not clean your coin. Cleaning it can actually lower its value. Leave it as is and have it looked at by a professional. Let's talk numbers. How much are people actually paying for 1970 pennies right now? In recent auctions and online marketplaces, these are some real-world sales. A 1970s small date penny graded MS67 red sold for $3,675 at auction. A 1970s small date with double die reverse in high grade went for over $5,800. Even circulated examples in decent shape can sell for $50 to $100, depending on the type and condition. And the demand? It's only increasing. Coin collecting has surged in popularity, and rare varieties are becoming harder to find in the wild. That's driving up prices even more, especially for verified era coins and high-grade examples. So if you have a 1970 penny, especially one from San Francisco, you might be sitting on a valuable collector's item. So there you have it. The untold story of the 1971 cent coin, a piece of American history that could be worth a small fortune. Don't underestimate your loose change. That old coin jar on your shelf might be hiding a $1,000 penny just waiting to be discovered. If you found this video helpful or exciting, smash that like button, subscribe for more treasure hunting content, and let us know in the comments if you've ever come across a 1970 penny or any rare coin. Who knows? You might have the next viral find. In this video, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1985 Lincoln penny. We'll reveal its surprising history, how to spot the ultra-rare versions, and most importantly, how much these coins are really worth today. So don't blink. You might just miss the key to turning 1 cent into a small treasure. Upbeat music fades in, shots of old coin presses and U.S. Mint buildings. Let's rewind the clock back to 1985, the year when Ronald Reagan was president. The Cold War was still a reality, and the average gallon of gas was just over $1. While most people were busy with their everyday lives, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing over 10 billion pennies. That's right. More than 10 billion Lincoln cents rolled off the presses in 1985. But not all of them were created equal. These coins featured the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front, or obverse, originally designed by Victor David Brenner way back in 1909. It's one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history, and one that has become beloved by collectors around the world. But here's the twist: even though these coins are technically modern, some of them are hiding secrets that make them incredibly valuable. The 1985 penny was part of the new generation of copper-plated zinc coins. This change began in 1982, when the U.S. Mint switched from nearly solid copper pennies to a cheaper composition, 97.5% zinc with only a thin layer of copper on the outside. That means the 1985 penny weighs just 2.5 grams, unlike the older copper ones, which were heavier and more valuable in metal content alone. There are 3 major varieties of the 1985 penny, and each comes from a different U.S. Mint facility. The 1985 No Mint mark, struck in Philadelphia, the 1985D, struck in Denver, and the 1985S, the special proof coin from San Francisco. Now here's where things get exciting. While billions of the first 2 were made, the San Francisco proof pennies were created specifically for collectors. Only around 3 million of those were ever produced, a tiny fraction compared to the regular coins. Music shifts to suspenseful tone, close-up of coin details. This is where the treasure hunt truly begins. Some 1985 pennies were struck with errors, and these are the coins collectors go wild for. If you're lucky enough to find one of these, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. So, what kind of errors are we talking about? Let's break them down. Double die errors. These are caused when the coin is struck more than once in a slightly misaligned way. The result? You'll see doubling in the letters, numbers, or even Lincoln's face. A 1985 penny with strong double die obverse features could easily sell for hundreds of dollars. And in pristine condition, even more off-center strikes. Coins that were stamped way off from the center are considered highly collectible. Depending on how much of the design is missing, some off-center 1985 pennies have sold for $50 to $300, sometimes even higher. Be error. This is a die break that appears between the B and E in Liberty, making it look like there's an extra letter, I. These quirky little errors can bring in $10 to $50 depending on condition and demand. Clipped planchets. These coins are missing a portion of the edge, a minting mistake that makes them look like someone took a bite out of the coin. Some 1985 pennies with clipped planchets have sold for $75 to $150. Remember, even a small mistake in the minting process can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. Now for the part everyone's been waiting for. What's the value of a 1985 penny today? Let's start with the basics. A circulated 1985 penny from Philadelphia or Denver in average condition? It's usually worth 1 to 3 cents. Yes, just pocket change. But a coin in uncirculated condition, with full luster and no scratches, could be worth $5 to $15 to the right buyer. An approved 1985's penny in perfect mirror-like condition? That could bring in $10 to $30, sometimes more if graded. But when it comes to rare errors and high-grade specimens, that's when prices jump dramatically. A 1985 double die obverse penny in mint state condition can fetch $150 to $400 at auction. A top-graded MS68 red 1985 penny, yes, a nearly flawless example, once sold for over $1,500. The lesson here? Condition is king. If you find a coin that looks perfect under magnification, no nicks, full red color, sharp strike, get it graded. Because you might be sitting on a sleeper coin worth hundreds. B-roll of magnifying glasses, coin flips, LED lights. So how do you know if you have one of these valuable 1985 pennies? Here's what to do. Grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, something with at least 10x magnification. Look closely at Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date. Any doubling or unusual shapes, check the weight. If your penny weighs more than 2.5 grams, it might have been struck on a leftover copper planchet from earlier years, which is extremely rare. Examine both sides for off-center strikes, clipping, or die cracks. If you spot something unusual, compare it with online databases or send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. And if you're serious about coin collecting, start building your knowledge now. Because even modern pennies like the 1985 cent can hold hidden surprises. Camera pans over a table of sparkling coins. So, the next time you get change at the store or crack open your old coin jar, take a moment to look closely. That 1985 penny, the one that looks just like the rest, might just be a rare gem waiting to be discovered. In the world of coin collecting, value doesn't always come from gold or silver. Sometimes, it comes from what most people ignore, a single cent that tells a story, holds a mystery, and carries a hidden fortune in plain sight. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more amazing coin facts and values, and leave a comment telling us what treasures you've found in your own collection. Today, we're diving deep into a piece of copper-plated history, the 1991 United States 1-cent coin. You might be thinking, it's just a penny, right? Well, think again. Because what lies behind this small copper coin might just surprise you. Some of these coins could be worth far more than just 1 cent. In fact, collectors have paid hundreds and even thousands for rare variations of this very coin. So grab your coin jars and let's find out if you're sitting on a gold mine. Let's begin with a little time travel. The year is 1991. George H. W. Bush is president. The Gulf War is in the headlines, and America is on the edge of a technological boom. Meanwhile, millions of Americans are going about their daily lives, spending and saving their change, including, you guessed it, the humble 1-cent coin. The 1991 Lincoln cent continued the long legacy that began in 1909 when President Abraham Lincoln's profile first appeared on the penny to celebrate his 100th birthday. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the front of the coin, known as the obverse, features Lincoln's right-facing bust with the word, Liberty, to the left and the date, 1991, to the right, along with the mint mark below the date, either AD for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mint mark at all, which means it was minted in Philadelphia. The reverse of the coin, designed by Frank Gasparo, showcases the Lincoln Memorial. This design was in use from 1959 until 2008, after which it was replaced by the Union Shield. So, the 1991 penny holds a place in the middle of a significant era of design and American history. Now, let's talk about what this coin is made of. The 1991 penny isn't solid copper. In fact, since 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned from 95% copper to a primarily zinc-based coin with just a thin copper coating. This means the 1991 penny is made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. Why the change? Copper prices were rising, and it became more expensive to produce a penny than the coin was actually worth. So the mint made the switch to keep costs down. But that also means that earlier pennies, like those from before 1982, are often more valuable for their metal content alone. In 1991, 3 mints were involved in production: Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, with over 6.1 billion coins struck; Denver Mint, D mint mark, with approximately 4.16 billion coins produced; San Francisco Mint, S mint mark, used only for proof coins, with a much smaller mintage of around 2.8 million. Now here's where it gets exciting. While the vast majority of 1991 pennies are common and worth face value, certain era coins and rare variants can be worth a lot more. And I mean a lot. Let's go through the most valuable types of 1991 pennies you should be on the lookout for. 1. Off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank, called a planchet, isn't properly centered in the press. A coin struck 5% off-center might be interesting, but one that's 50 to 75% off-center with a clear date and mint mark can fetch anywhere from $50 to $250 or more, depending on condition. 2. Double die verse DDO. This is one of the holy grails of coin errors. A double die occurs when the coin die itself is misaligned during manufacture, causing parts of the design, like the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust, to appear doubled. While not as famous as the 1955 DDO, some 1991 cents with this error have sold for over $150, even in circulated condition. 3. Broad-struck coins. These are coins that were struck without the retaining collar that shapes their edges, causing them to spread out and appear slightly warped. These oddities can sell for $20 to $80 or more. 4. Off-metal strikes. Now this is where things get really interesting. A few 1991 pennies were mistakenly struck on dime planchets, or even foreign planchets. These are extremely rare, and collectors have been known to pay hundreds, sometimes over $1,000, depending on how obvious and rare the error is. 5. Proof coins from San Francisco. Proof coins were not meant for circulation and were specially struck for collectors. These coins have a mirror-like finish and sharp details. A pristine 1991 S penny in deep cameo proof 70 condition, the highest grade possible, has been sold for upwards of $70 to $100. So what's the 1991 penny worth today? Let's break it down by type. Circulated 1991 Philadelphia or Denver penny, usually just face value, 1 cent. Uncirculated, mint state, MS65 MS67 condition. These can fetch $1 to $15, sometimes higher if certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. 1991 S proof penny, PR69 PR70 DCM. $20 to $100 or more. Era coins, like DDO, off-center, or broad-struck, these range from $50 to over $500 depending on rarity and condition. Extremely rare off-metal or experimental errors. these are auction level coins and can sell for $1,000 or more. The market for era coins has grown in recent years, fueled by online auctions and collector interest. Platforms like eBay and Heritage Auctions have shown that even a common coin can fetch sky-high prices if it features a rare error or is in pristine condition. Now you're probably wondering, how can I tell if my 1991 penny is valuable? Here are some quick tips. Use a magnifying glass. Look closely at the date, lettering, and edges. Weigh the coin. A regular zinc 1991 penny should weigh around 2.5 grams. If yours is heavier, you might have a copper planchet or error coin. Check the mint mark. Look for oddities like repunched mint marks or doubling. Compare with certified examples. Sites like PCGS have photo galleries of graded coins. Consider professional grading. If you think your coin is in excellent condition or has a rare error, send it to a grading service for certification. This can greatly increase its market value. So there you have it. The 1991 1-cent coin, small, unassuming, and often overlooked, but potentially worth much more than just a penny. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a curious beginner, it's worth taking a second look at the change in your pocket. You never know, that one coin sitting in your drawer, the one you've walked past for years, could be the one that turns out to be a rare minting error worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If you found this video helpful or interesting, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more coin collecting content, and comment below, have you found any interesting 1991 pennies in your collection? Have questions about your coins? Drop them in the comments, and I might feature your question in the next video. Today, we're diving deep, really deep, into a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but hold on tight, because the story behind the 1992 1-cent coin from the United States of America is anything but ordinary. You might want to check your old piggy bank or that dusty jar of change sitting in your drawer. Because if you happen to have this specific penny, you could be sitting on a small fortune. And I mean that quite literally. Some of these have sold for thousands of dollars at auction, and people are still finding them today. But what makes a tiny copper coin from 1992 so valuable? Why are collectors willing to pay a premium for it? And more importantly, could you have one without even knowing it? Stick around, because we're not just talking about the value, we're exploring the entire history, the special varieties, the reasons behind the rarity, and the latest updates from the coin market that you don't want to miss. Let's talk pennies. Our story begins in the early 1990s. The United States Mint had been producing the Lincoln cent for decades. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln penny had gone through many changes by the time 1992 rolled around. The reverse design, commonly known as the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, had been in use since 1959, replacing the earlier wheat ears design. And for most casual collectors, a 1992 penny looks just like any other from the 1980s or 1990s. But here's the twist. In 1992, the US Mint unknowingly created a transitional error. A mix-up. A minting anomaly. And for coin collectors, those mistakes? They're gold, figuratively speaking. So what exactly happened? In 1993, the Mint planned to switch the reverse design slightly by tightening the spacing between the letters and the words United States of America and E Pluribus Unum above the Lincoln Memorial. This is what's known as a close AM design. But somehow, a few 1992 pennies were minted using that 1993 reverse design, a mistake. The result? A rare coin known as the 1992 close AM Lincoln cent. And that's the one that could be worth thousands of dollars today. So how do you know if you have the valuable one? Grab your magnifying glass, because this detail is tiny, but it makes all the difference. On the back of a regular 1992 penny, look at the AM in the word America. On the standard version, there's a noticeable gap between the A and the M. This is called the wide AM. But on the rare version, those two letters are so close they're almost touching. That's the closed AM variety. That small detail transforms a regular penny into a potential payday. Let's not forget, there's also a rare 1992 declosed AM version as well. That's the Denver Mint version, marked with a little D under the date. Even rarer. Only a few have been discovered to date, and they command top dollar. Now let's get to the good part. How much is this coin actually worth? Over the years, these pennies have fetched thousands of dollars at auction. One 1992 close AM penny graded mint state 67 red by PCGS sold for over $25,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny. $25,000. Even circulated versions, those that show wear and tear from being used, can sell for hundreds to thousands, depending on the condition and grading. Here are some real-life examples. A 1992 D-close AM penny sold for over $20,000 in an auction. A regular 1992 close